Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Orange Juice News and Notes from around the world of Insoles. I am your co-host, Owen Kenoy, and we have my wonderful other co-host. I feel like I always butcher that. I'm still working on it. Sorry, guys. My wonderful co-host, Marsha. Welcome, Marsha. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I'd like to point out I'm wearing short sleeves, but I am at our Michigan office today, not Florida. It's awesome here in Michigan. It was like 62 yesterday, so I'm pretty fired up about that.
Yeah, it's funny how that works when you get used to the cold. All of a sudden, you're rocking tank tops, and it's definitely 50 degrees and windy today. But
Oh,
maybe not by you. Probably by you. Anyway, welcome to today's episode. We have a very special topic that's actually near and dear to our heart. Wow, I wasn't even playing that, no pun intended. But it's about heart health and heart rate and really just how the two are connected. But Marsha, why don't you go ahead and just explain maybe why it's so important to us here at Orange Insoles?
well, I would say it'd be interesting also to hear Owen's perspective on this story. But as you know, our co-founder, Tom Kenoy, who is my husband and who's also Owen's father, we were on a family vacation back 5 years ago. And if you know the co-owner, Tom, he played Big Ten football, always in shape, always athletic, 6'5", always fit. Just that, and I bring that up in the sense of we couldn't believe we're on a family trip and he has a heart attack. Now he'll tell you he didn't have a heart attack. He will say he was never diagnosed, but I will tell you this, we were out of town at a strange hospital. It wasn't in our community, so we didn't know anybody in the hospital. We're trying to listen to these people, and they threw us in an ambulance, got us to another hospital that's more heart worthy. And we're still out of town, but they try to get us to the shortest distant hospital. I bring that up because as we moved along and got to this other hospital, it's pretty scary. They were telling him he needed open heart surgery at age 50. And if you're familiar with that, they literally take a chainsaw and they cut open your ribs. That's how they break your ribs and open you up. And I didn't know any of that till later. So in the moment, I didn't really know what open heart meant because I'll be clear. I My dad died when I was 20 of cancer. My husband's dad died when he was 20 as well. We were both 20 years old the year we lost our dads to cancer, just a fluke year. So we're not familiar with anything heart. We don't have it in our family. We really just never heard about it. So we're going to open heart now. And, Owen, you remember at that point because you had just returned home from the family vacation and we had to contact you and say, hey, we're at this hospital. I know you and your brother came flying back. Um, so long story short, we got him because of the medical community that we know. We got him back to our local hospital, got a second opinion, and he ended up with two stents. So he'll still tell you he did not have a heart attack, but he must have if you have two stents put in. So one of them was the widowmaker. And if you know about that, ladies, I had no idea what that meant until the nurse told me that in a laughing manner. Oh, you're not a widow today. Ha ha ha. And I was like, that doesn't sound funny to me, but it was explained that that major vein that was 90% blocked, if it was 100%, he wouldn't have been here today. So this topic, I will pause there and, lean to Owen if he wants to add anything to this family situation. But now we're all kind of on full alert. I have two boys, and we're telling them in their 20s, you still have to, pay attention to your heart now because it's hereditary and it's in our family. So that's why we're very passionate about it. And we've written some blogs about it. And we're kind of thought we would stop today and take 20 minutes of your time and talk about it. So, Owen, I'll tee it up to you. I know it's kind of a sad story. It all worked out, by the way. He's healthy and killing it, but it was a scary time for the family.
Yeah, it definitely was. And, I don't know if you remember this, Marsha, but I was there one day, we'll say, and then I left the next, and then later that next day is when you guys had went in. But before I had left, Tom said to me, Tom being my dad, he's like, "Oh, and my chest has been really bothering me." And I think I said something like, "Yeah, that happens to me sometimes too, with like heartburn or whatever it is. I know a lot of my friends get it too." That's that's kind of, I hate to say it, but my personality or type to not really think worst case scenario where it's like, "Hey, maybe you should get that checked out." But I definitely learned from that situation, and I felt really bad because I told him again that he was probably fine, and he definitely was not. But luckily, again, he was able to get treatment, and now is as good as ever, especially with you guys' latest fitness journey with Pilates and whatever health kick you guys are doing and whatnot. And I don't mean that in any other way than I'm just out of the loop a little bit on what's going on over there. But it was really important for me to one really just appreciate. Sorry, Marcia, did you have something?
No, I was just gonna say finish your thought. I was just gonna add to that, you brought up a really good point about we all blew it off. We were on vacation. We're like, "You're fine." He thought it was to what you were just saying, some food he ate. He's like, "Oh, I'm sure I'm just eating a lot of celebration junk food. We're on vacation." So he just kept popping Tums. But the only reason we took him in is because you kids left the vacation, and we had some downtime, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I need to go to Ready Care." And then we went to Ready Care, and you say heart in Ready Care, they're gonna send you right to the hospital. But I just wanted to bring that up because it really just started from him just popping a bunch of Tums thinking it was okay. So thank you for sharing kind of 2 days prior of the built up to what happened. That was a good catch.
Yeah, so for me, just like some life advice, it really kind of opened up the question of like, am I really appreciating every day and my family and the time we get with everyone? And just kind of stopped and questioned, do I need to go home and see my family more or reach out to relatives and that sort of thing. So that was a big eye opener for me, just being a young adult. I think I was 22 or 23 at the time. Just is something to really keep in mind. And then also, I mean, even now, I have obviously two little ones at home and a wife, and I want to make sure I can take care of myself as well so that, I'm there for them longer than 40, 50 years old and on into the future. So that's really something as well where now if people, when I go to the doctor, they say, "Hey, what's your family history?" And I say, "We have heart health and that sort of thing." And it's something to really just be aware of and work on. But
The only thing I would add in too, I know we say this all the time, and I think I get stunned when I hear this statistic, is they say the number one cause of women to die is heart attacks. It's their heart. And I can't tell you, I can. I have two friends who've had stents put in, and it's because of my husband sharing his story and how he felt. They started feeling that way within a year or two later, and they went in, and sure enough, they had stents put in. So I think part of it is I can't believe women. That's like a big thing with women. It's not for me. I've had no issues, but I would say for me, that's the second reason that I thought it was important and was excited to see this on the agenda for the podcast this week.
yeah, really good point. And obviously we're not heart health experts, but if you ever have any questions or have any concern, definitely call the doctor or even just go in. And maybe it takes a little bit of time to get checked out, but it's definitely worth it, especially if they can catch something that's happening sooner than later. It might literally save your life. But transitioning, I guess, more into heart health and heart rate and how to impact your heart positively and make sure that you are setting yourself up to have a healthy heart and live long term. Uh, I guess one thing I thought about right away as we are kind of talking about this topic is, oh yeah, so that's why we exercise. And we don't just exercise to make our muscles and bodies stronger. Yes, that's definitely part of it, but really it's to strengthen and condition our one of our most important muscles in our body, which is our heart. So when we do work out, we ultimately increase our heart rate, which is giving it, I guess an extra pump and that sort of thing. Working out ultimately conditions your heart and allows for you to have a lower resting heart rate, which in turn makes for a healthier heart now and in the future. So, a normal heart rate typically is anywhere from 60 to 100 beats per minute, but it can also be lower. So a lot of athletes, especially like if you think about, for some reason, when I think about heart health and like lung strength, I think about Michael Phelps. I'm sure Michael Phelps' resting heart rate is lower than 60. It's probably closer to 40 or even 30. And really, it's just because his heart is in such good shape that when he's not doing anything or he's sitting still or whatever it may be, it just doesn't have to work very hard, given how strong it already is. Almost like if you, I picture like the bench press. If you really condition yourself to bench press 400 pounds and you get used to that, all of a sudden when you're bench pressing just the bar because you're not actually doing anything, let's say your heart is, you bench pressing, you start bench pressing the bar, it's super easy to do at that point.
I was gonna say, oh, and a fun fact, Lance Armstrong's resting heart is 32 to 34. I'm sure Michael Phelps is right in the ballpark, just like you said, under 40 for sure.
Yeah, there's a quick reference that athletes generally have about a 40 beat per minute resting heart rate. So it's no surprise that the best of the best is down into the 30s. So and then kind of kind of transitioning into your heart rate and heart rate zones. So when you're working out, you are different from the person next to you. So let's say you both want to run 3 miles. It may be a lot easier for the person on the right to run the 3 miles opposed to the person on the left. The reason being is they have a lower target heart rate zone, and they also have their heart conditioned to maintain that heart rate zone. So I'll be more specific here. Um, Most people are supposed to, when you start working out, get up to a maximum heart rate. So for 20-year-olds, for example, it's 200 beats per minute. If your heart starts beating above that pace while you're working out, you're going to want to stop, or I guess just slow down and kind of take it easy. Essentially, you're working out too hard and it's no longer healthy for your heart, but the target heart rate is about 85% of that max, or 85% of the 200 beats per minute. So that would be 170 beats per minute would be kind of the top of what you're looking for. So long story short, these two people running are working on maintaining that 170 beat per minute heart rate at most, and one is able to do it easier than the other.
Oh, and those are really good analogies of especially two different people right next to each other doing the same activity, but can totally have different heart rates. And that's happens all the time. I'm a member at Planet Fitness. You go in, we're all at different levels. They even have a big horn there. They honk at people who show off too much, which I think is hilarious. I've never heard it go off, but just because it's on the wall, I don't know, that cracks me up. Well, anyway, what I wanted to also say is I just got brand new an Aura ring. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but it tracks your fitness, your heart, your sleep, all of this. I also have an Apple Watch I was doing that before with. Oh, and do you have any of these type of things?
I actually don't have any experience with the like fitness trackers or that sort of thing, but my wife Ashley has the Aura ring, and then before that, she was using her Apple Watch as well.
Got it. You know, the thing that's amazing with the Aura ring is that when you're tracking on your watch, so basically if you have an Apple Watch or any kind of Fitbit, you just hit start and you click on what activity you're going to do and you hit start. And then when you're done, you hit stop. And the activity merges into my Aura Ring app. So it's also grabbing it from my Aura Ring if I didn't activate my watch, but my watch can tell specifically I choose walking, running, aerobics, weightlifting, whatever it is I'm doing. So anyway, it's interesting because like even today I was just because we were having this topic, I looked and part of the Aura Ring has a whole section on your heart that I can click into. So today I was checking out like what's happening. So I'm 55. So for 55-year-olds, excuse me, you want to be from 83 to 140 when you're working out. Today I was at 100, but it wasn't a hard workout. It was like an aerobics, Pilates, pure bar type of class. So we did a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, like that stuff. There was not a lot of cardio. So I'm assuming that's why I only hit like 100 because I wasn't running, sprinting, kind of what you were talking about earlier, Owen. I wasn't pushing that muscle, basically my heart. Then I was also looking at when I sleep at night, my average is 54 to 74. So I'm not obviously an athlete because I would have been in my 30s, but I am anywhere from 54 to 74 on average, depending on, what type of part of the sleep that goes. And then in the daytime, I averaged 73, which I thought was interesting. Um, I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to learn from this aura ring. I'm working with my doctor on it. She suggested I get it. So it will be interesting, but I think what I am watching on top of the aura ring is what am I doing to make my heart feel better? Right? So, oh, and I'm sure you have different ideas and kind of common sense around heart health, we call it. So I'll give you the basic one is no smoking, right? My dad was a serious smoker. My father-in-law was a serious smoker. Saw them both pass away from cancer related to that. So maybe they would have had heart issues if the cancer part didn't get them, but I'll throw that, no smoking is the most common one to me. What's a common one to you, Owen?
Well, I was actually just gonna comment on the Aura Ring because you shared so much
Oh,
great information. I was actually gonna give you a pat on the back because a normal resting heart rate is 60 to 100 beats per minute, and you did a workout at 100 beats per minute. When you're sleeping, I think you mentioned your heart rate got as low as 50s, which is even lower, almost to that athlete rate. And during the day, you said it was in the 70s, which is right in the middle of actually on the lower end of 60 to 100. So I would actually say good job. And I know that's something that you do work very hard on. You're always talking about, I know just last night you said, oh, we need to get out and go for a walk. And you went for a walk. And I know you do the like bar routines and Pilates and then also the cardio and then watch what you eat and diet. And this is something that I don't do quite as well as you, Marcia, but it's something that I'm kind of working towards slowly but surely, and I know it'll become more important with my age too. So,
well, I think one thing you guys teach me, the younger generation, is more mental health. It's just such an awareness. It wasn't something I talked about in my generation. But I think I did it naturally because I've always worked out my whole life. It's just my way of getting stress out of my body. So for me, I know a lot of people do it for heart health. I just do it for my mental health of getting stress out. So when I work out, I need it. I need my hour, and I do workouts that I'm alone. I'm not a person who does what do you call it, tennis or pickleball. Because you're doing it with someone else. Like when I work out, I just want my zone and I don't want to talk to anybody. I just need to do my own jam. So it's kind of interesting around that. But yeah, this ring is definitely starting to explain more. And as you get older, you just want to understand why your hands hurt, your knees hurt, why my arthritis is so bad, and how can I get rid of that pain all the time? So part of it is looking at your heart and what the heart health stuff is. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, and I encourage people to look at it. The only thing I'll add in real quick is a few weeks ago, the Aura Ring told me, "Hey, your temperature is off, and something's happening in your body." I forget what the paragraph said. It said you need to rest, and I'm like, bullshit. I need to rest. I don't stop. So anyway, that night I was at a dinner party. The next morning I get up early, I go work out, and then I'm like, I think I need a nap. I don't know why. I'll take a 15-minute power nap. I lay down 5 hours later. Owen, I think I missed a meeting with you. Just slept like a rock. Had no idea in the chair that I would do that. So anyway, I bring that up too because the ring, I couldn't believe was telling me I was coming down with something, and I did come down with something. So all of that kind of mixes. But let's get back to heart health. Do you have anything? I mean, I'm obvious no smoking is my thing. Do you have anything that's on your radar that like heart health wise is
Well, you just had brought up a really good point about how it helps your heart health, but also just your mental health in general and your overall well-being. So when we were setting goals at the beginning of the year, a lot of my goals were centered around uh, overall well-being, and then I could go look at the list too, and a lot of them were actually help impact my heart health as well. Funny enough, because it was exercising, eating healthy, mindfulness, and that sort of thing. And even just doing like meditation or yoga really can help reduce stress, but also train your heart to be at a lower heart rate as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something where you're just pushing your heart kind of more cardio wise. You can also train it in other ways too. Obviously, a mixture of both is better.
yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point is that in my mind, when this happened to your father, I thought heart health was around drinking alcohol, fast food. You know what I mean? I just went to those buckets. Not necessarily he was doing that, but I just thought that that's what I know. But really, stress and like you were saying, like, just even getting up and moving, like these are things that aren't associated with food and what we're putting in our body because our heart is a muscle. And it's exactly what you're saying earlier. That's what we're trying to do is exercise that muscle and stay ahead of it. So I don't know the percentage, but I'm going to go on record. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, but just from what I'm feeling and learning about, I'd say half of it's what you're eating and half of it's how you're reacting. Are you working out? Are you, taking downtime for yourself? In the evening, are you like taking a break, taking an hour for yourself, whatever that might be, to bring your stress level down? So when you do sleep, you're going to get a healthy rest because sleep is a big part of heart health. So that's just my thought, real quick.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. Just how general stress plays a role in your heart rate and even blood pressure as well. I remember one time I was having a stressful day at work, and then I had and this is pre Orange Insoles. No stressful days over here, right, Marsha? Working for you is sunshine and roses. But beforehand, I had this doctor's appointment. They took my blood pressure, and they're like, "Your blood pressure is pretty high. Are you having a stressful day at work?" And I was like, "Yep." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's probably why." So it really does make such a big difference. And imagine if you have a stressful day every day at work. That's really not good for you.
Well, especially if you're in a job that you can't change the culture and you're trying and you've given it the old college try and you've been there a few years and you're like, you know what? You just got to get yourself out of that toxic environment because your body, it's going to just come out in your body. And long term, you just can't do it.
Yeah,
So
I don't know that I really know exactly what that's like, but maybe other people do.
I
So
do. I've changed roles in my career because of it. 5, 6 years of that stress and can't change because you have an owner of a company that has a different vision and you just gotta, grind it out as long as you can and then find the right role. And then, but it can definitely put a toll on your body over time for sure. And then I was turning to eating, like, I was eating, eating, eating. It's like comfort food left and right, mac and cheese, like, and that's what you do, and that is not good for my heart. In the moment, for my mental health, it was. I just
right.
Diet Coke and I were like best friends, mac and cheese and Diet Coke and whatever. So, anyway, but, that was a small stint of my 40 years of working in life, so it wasn't that was my only lesson life lesson in the career world. So, but yeah.
Well, hopefully that helps give our audience a kind of diverse perspective on the different things you can do for heart health and why your heart rate is important and how to keep track of your heart rate and strengthen your heart. I think I've said heart probably 1,000 times, but that's okay because that's what the episode was about. And just a few quick updates for our audience before we say farewell. Today, or excuse me, this week is one of the most exciting weeks of the year. We have our $1 million bracket challenge, which is officially open. and it's for the upcoming tournament. I will say, I think that's all I can technically say. But the tournament kicks off on Thursday, the 20th, and all of the picks to fill out a perfect bracket are due by 11:30 a.m. If you fill out the perfect bracket, you will be issued $1 million. Yes, $1 million. All you have to do is select a perfect bracket. It is very simple. I didn't say it's easy, but it's simple. And
Oh,
then
and do you have a favorite team?
favorite team, I got to go with my Spartan Dogs. I'm a Michigan State grad through and through, outright Big Ten title champions. We'll see what they do in the Big Ten tournament, but life is good over here for the Spartan Dogs and Tom Izzo. January, February, Izzo is what they say instead of March. So I'm all in. I'm sure I'll get clowned on a future podcast when we inevitably exit. But until then, we'll ride it out.
All right. Well, I had to let you get your plug in for your Spartans because they're looking good for sure. And so, what I think you had one other good news for us.
Yeah, one other last thing. We mentioned last time that we're going to introduce a new athlete for the Orange Sport Insoles, and that athlete is Amelia Moore. She is a female boxer, 2020 U.S. Olympic team alternate, certified badass. So if you want to learn more about Amelia, just keep an eye on our website, our newsletter, our social media channels. We may even have to ask her, Marcia, and I'm just putting myself on the spot to join one of the podcasts and get her perspective there. So we'll see if we would be so blessed. No promises. I did not run that by Amelia at all. So if not, sorry, everyone. I know she does have a very busy schedule, but stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.